more Bitcoin. We just expanded the VoskCoin mining farm. And if you've watched any of our previous uploads on this, you'll know that this has actually been a pretty long, ongoing endeavor. But this past weekend, we finished. We're done. And let me just put it into perspective. Just in that building alone, I've added 125 amps times 8. It's technically a little bit less than that. And I only have 6 electrical plugins per 125 amps. But prior to that, there was only 400 amps wired into this. And let me just kind of put this into perspective. I basically had 12 outlets on each side. So let's say I've got the ability to run 24 Bitcoin miners. And let's say after my electricity bill, they're pulling $10 a day, roughly, right? These are estimates. So I had the capability to earn $240 a day in passive income. Now, with 6 times 8, which is 48, I have tripled the amount of mining rigs that I can put in that building. That's a Digital Shovel Minipod M300. We've also expanded the farm in many other ways recently, which added to all of the just planning, design, expenses, and construction. Everything kind of coming together. You see a NanoPOD right there, also made by Digital Shovel. Another NanoPOD over there. Basically, depending how you configure and wire those, you can run another 24, 27, or more potentially smaller miners in these buildings. So just in that piece alone, I've tripled. So 240 times 3, I have a passive income capability now of $720 per day. It's not that simple. It's not that easy. Mining rigs are expensive. Sometimes it doesn't work out. There's so many nuances. I'm not trying to misrepresent here, and I'm also not trying to show off or flex or come off the wrong way about all this. I'm not earning $720 in there. Not yet. That's a dream. And I've been hustling and bustling to try to get everything kind of ironed out, finished up before hopefully the market goes absolutely ridiculous, parabolic. So I'll kind of go piece by piece with the major things I've done out here. So we literally just finished this. I utilized 8 PDUs and I hung them up there on the back wall. I am using up every little bit of any sort of extra space I can find in this building. And the only reason that's there is because these are built to where you can chain these together and run them in tandem. But I don't have another one. But I did have a way to squeeze out more utility here. I wired this up on single phase. So with the service I originally had available, I had a ton of empty space in here. Now I can utilize almost every piece of shelf space in this unit, which is pretty freaking cool and pretty exciting. My wiring situation is all over the place because I'm using up some extra wire I had from different aspects of the build. But to explain it simply, I basically ran 1/0 aluminum for most of this. And you'll notice that on the back wall above the PDUs, most of that is 1/0 aluminum. When I called the electric supply shop, I was like, hey, I need some of this stuff, what do you got? And that was one of the options that they had that would get it done for me. I switched to aluminum to get my costs down. I would rather use copper, but I've been, driving myself to bankruptcy, just using copper here, copper there. It was just way too much money. I decided it simply wasn't worth it. So I can't remember offhand. It was something like they wanted like 91 cents a foot or something like that, or maybe it was 80 something. And I was like, look, what if I just take the whole spool? I take 1,000 feet of it. How much lower can we get the price? And he dropped the price probably like 11, 12 cents per foot. So pretty substantial savings for not having an account with them, and just a quick back and forth negotiation on those parts. I utilized these junction boxes. I got them on Amazon. With the local electric supply shops, you can buy plastic junction boxes for about the same price. You can get something nicer on Amazon that's metal. If I could go back, I would use metal for all my junction boxes, but I can't, so we'll just keep rolling. If you don't know, these pods were originally designed to run 88 S19 series miners. So that's about a standard 3,300 watt miner, and the footprint needed to do that. Since then, miners have gotten even bigger and they use even more power. So pulling in additional juice and putting some miners in different configurations to fit them tighter that's actually going to be basically a perfect situation for me, where I'll be able to run, you know, up to nearly 70 mining rigs, especially depending on their power consumption. What you can't see today and appreciate is just how much digging we've been doing. And I ain't talking about mining, brother. So in between there, big trench, here's some pictures and video of that. So running the conduit. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to add, I'm changing my internet setup, and I also want to add redundancy on internet. And then in addition to that, I ran power. So this is the, what we're calling now simply, the green mining shed, or the VoskCoin mining shed, or really it's become the BitX mining shed. And this is modeled after a data center. It's cool, and I mean that literally. Whereas to our left, we've got the immersion mining shed, where we do liquid cooled Bitcoin mining. Now how cool do those dry coolers look now? Yeah. Point being though, in here, I've got a 200 amp sub panel that basically uses up this whole electric service, one of these panels. So it's two 200 amps, and I know I've got 200 wired into that sub panel in there. And then I had another 200 amp panel. And so what I've done here is I've taken all the extra electricity I have in these panels and run them into the Minipod. That way, I already have the infrastructure to run the mining rigs. I have a building, I have airflow, I have exhaust, cooling, everything set up, it's good to go. And you know, I'm using up those filters, and I'm turning those exhaust fans, and they don't care if there's 10 mining rigs in there or if there's 80 mining rigs in there. So it's essentially free to add more rigs in there, other than running the juice to be able to simply power them. So that's been a key piece of the expansion work out here. That's been completed. I do have one circuit that runs into the immersion mining shed, and so that's powering our original C6 in there. But that meter's maxed out, and this building, to be frank, is pretty much maxed out as well. The immersion mining shed is pretty packed, it's pretty built out, and I feel good with it, I feel accomplished. I'd say it's basically done. Also, this generation of miners are not doing well in immersion, but there's new development going on with immersion specific models more than ever before, and they're better than ever before. So that's really cool to see. And we take a little peek through this window like a creepy peeping Tom. All right, I don't think the camera's really picking up the difference. But yeah, this service is basically maxed out, 140 amps on one, 160 amps on the other, and when it's even hotter, these become less efficient and burn more electricity. It is, once again, a total mess in here, but this is it. I'm gonna get this cleaned up, and this place is pretty much done. If anything, maybe I'd pick up another C2, or if I can ever get my BitPod repaired, and I'd run like 2 more miners in there. My B6D is broken, but I finally got my replacement fan in to fix that. I know, premium caulk job. I spent nearly a whole tube on this. Still need to do that one. Always something to do, man. A while ago, this year we installed another electrical service. The electric company was kicking and screaming the whole way, but too bad. We put it in, F yeah. You know, there's 600 amps of electricity, and I ran 200 of those amps in there, which is how I got 3 more 125 amp PDUs on there. And I know the math doesn't quite line up, and that's all right, 80% rule. Talked about it before. Into the NanoPOD, I ran 400 amps of electricity, and by the time I get this filled up, that'll be about perfect with how much room is in here, how much electricity I have, and I've been really happy with that. We went up to Canada, and myself and Vincent, one of our VoskCoin team members and video editors, we had a blast touring the facility and checking out Canada. We even went to a hockey game, and we talk about an authentic freaking Canadian experience. The point though, they've got a lot going on, and I really gained so much respect for them, what they do, and how much goes into their products up there. I'm not trying to sound like a shill or sell it. I mean, if you want one, I'll put a link and you get 5% off. Okay, yeah, but I bring it up just because it really was impressive. I don't know how you can watch our hour-and-a-half based documentary level video on it and not think, wow, they sure are pouring their heart and soul into those products, and that's cool, and I respect that. Over here, originally called the Field Building, rebranded to VoskCoin HQ. And this is a 400 amp service. So what I did is I grabbed a 400 amp fused, which is a critical piece of information there, disconnect. And what I've essentially done is I've run my service into the disconnect. So if I pulled too many amps in this building and too many amps where I've stolen this power and ran it to the mining farm, then those fuses will go off and I will hopefully save this building from one of my biggest fears, a fire. So I ran 500 aluminum through the field. It's overspec, it was very expensive. I did it in conduit. In retrospect, I would have just done direct burial wire. We do farm this field normally, and I did really want to have it encased in some hard conduit, but the additional cost that it added, it just wasn't worth it. I also ran additional internet lines across the mining facility at that same time, which is 2 more runs of 1-inch conduit. So 2 4-inch, 2 1-inch, that's a lot of pipe. This is pretty exciting, and it's probably kind of maybe boring on camera or on a video, but it's really exciting because I'm burning up electricity in this building, running gear, especially in the winter where I can run over 100 amps of mining rigs, make that place nice and warm. And you know, it's free heat and it's free real estate to plug in more miners, because I've always been behind schedule with how many rigs I have as opposed to my essential mining farm capacity on the other side. Now I have this huge ceiling above me. I could add so many more mining rigs than I have. And this is the first time I can ever say that in my life. And I've been doing this for going on nearly 10 years, and I've never had way more room than I have gear, especially at this scale and level. But things compound in additional ways. For example, with my electric utility, I used enough energy in there to get to the next electricity rate, and it's substantial. It reduces my cost from about 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour to about 7.5 cents. So it's not quite, but it's essentially 30% savings, a 30% reduction in just the bottom line of my mining farm expenses. It's a big deal. And so I took that electricity and I ran it into that NanoPOD next to the green shed. And so I ran 400 amps into it. And I'm going to be cognizant of that building and what I'm doing in there, and not, you know, expect to maybe use that to the absolute full capacity. But if it's a crazy bull run and I've got the gear, I can just straight turn that building entirely off and do whatever I want and need to do over there on the other side. And then furthermore, I'm just getting the benefit of not having a new electric service with a worse rate. I mean, that's it. That's at the best rate I've got out here on the farm, which is 7.5 cents. And for example, my new 600 amp service, it starts out on the bad electric rate. And I've got to basically mine for 2 to 3 months of capacity before they bump me up to the next rate. It's like a noob tax. To be honest, I should call them and get them to combine my meters, but it's such a pain in the ass to try to get through to the right person. And then they still charge you a fee to combine your meters, and that's if they'll even do it. They should do it, but at this point, I'm basically so close, I'm probably just gonna let it run, take the L, get all my stuff up to spec based on usage and move on. But ultimately, one of my main points here is that I really wanted that 400 amps in that building to mining, when I realized that they wouldn't just keep pulling out new service after new service after new service for me, as well as getting all of my meters onto the better electricity rate. In retrospect, if I was to do this all over again, I should just go straight to 3-phase, get one huge meter, build everything off of that, and it would have been better long term. But I didn't know it was really going to get this crazy this fast. And they wouldn't even give me the option to have 3-phase in the beginning until they realized that I wasn't all talk, that I'm the real deal. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. A wise man once said, Nazareth, seeing is believing.
Want to get into mining but don't want to run your own miners? Check out today's video sponsor, Musk Miners. Musk has grown a lot in the last couple of years, with over 700 clients and over 3,000 miners. They offer miner hosting in several locations across the US using natural gas and recycled energy. Their rate is approximately 8 cents per kilowatt hour, and there are no service or racking fees. Check out their list of hostable miners that you can buy through them. These prices from Musk have the tariffs built in, so what you see is what you can expect to pay. To learn more about Musk Miners, check out the link in the video description below.
But yeah, so the 500 aluminum comes into that junction box. Then I've got Polaris tabs, splice it down, get the wire size down, but still able to carry the appropriate amperage. And then I go into the bus bar up there. It had single lugs, we expanded it to double lugs, and then we run our wires in parallel. So this is all wired up and good to go. I need to finish wiring up the Ethernet cables, but they are in there. I just have to put the ends on and connect them if I really wanted to. But I don't have enough gear to fill it up. So right now it's just gonna sit here, patiently wait. I do think I'm gonna pull most of my mining rigs that aren't weird sized out of the Minipod, move them to that NanoPod, and get that nice and tidy, reorganize the Minipod, and then kind of work on growing and expanding and building from there. You may notice that I have Starlink behind me. That is our backup internet out here on the mining farm. But I have hardwired Verizon internet that provides better speeds at a better price with better consistency. I don't know if I really talked about this on camera, but I installed a couple more cameras out here, and instead of wasting the time and money, which are both expensive, to hardwire it, I just installed one of the solar panel ones. So we'll see how it holds up. And it had a little deal where the Ring solar panel was basically free when you bought the camera. But it was quick and easy and cheaper on the back end. You notice I got the breakers off. I guess my electrician rugged me on that last screw. Come on, Matt.
Come on, man.
245 volts. Granted, it's not when it's under load, so I'm very curious to see how that is. But that voltage is after traversing like about 400 feet. That's a long distance for wire, especially when you're dreaming of using over 300 amps. Ethernet's ran in here, like I said, green and orange, which is simply Ethernet wire 1 and Ethernet wire 2. If you have any specific questions, please comment and let me know. Happy to look back and answer them, or if it's pretty elaborate, I can even make future content about it or weave it into future content. I'm really happy and content with just the current status of the mining farm. I am kind of thinking about what's next and what could we do, but in all reality, this is probably the end of my single phase mining journey. Maybe I'll still pull 3-phase out here. My head is pretty stuck on that. And I don't mean I got my head in the clouds. I mean, I'm thinking about solar on a bigger scale. We already deployed our biggest solar to date, and it's pretty sweet, and it's pretty addictive. Future's bright, or it better be, if we're putting up solar. One thing I didn't talk about that you may be interested in is I ran Ethernet out of the Minipod because it was just quick, easy, and clean. Ran over here to the NanoPod, especially with that distance I needed to traverse. And then out of this trough, ran the wire, which actually comes out of that 400 amp disconnect, which on the back side here. Extended the super strut, put another pole in, and all of that penetrates this NanoPod and gets that lit up. The newer exhaust fans that Digital Shovel put out, we retrofitted them on my Minipod, which you see in our other video, but they spit air out at more of an angle where the previous ones were pretty much straight back. So I need to messes up my plan, I need to get a piece of metal or even wood or something here to block the air, because right now this NanoPod, not a lot, but it is some, it's basically inhaling the farts of the other mining container. Obviously I've got some cleanup to do. I also have a laundry list of returns I'm going to try to work through if possible. I'm disappointed with how much extra conduit we have, and especially couplings and fittings and other things like that, which you can only spearhead so many different pieces of this, and you can only micromanage so much stuff before you just kind of start going crazy. But I'm super stoked, I'm super happy, I'm super proud. Everything is just lit up out here. I have more mining capacity than I've ever had before. And I'm really proud. I think the mining farm is at a really good spot. Most things are working. My only lagging and nagging problems are a broken DCX immersion system and a broken fog hashing B6D system. I severely underestimated how much time this would take. From my research to designing to running the subs to complete this, and I outsourced more of this than I had originally planned, because I realized, holy shit, I am in the shit right now. I am in the trenches, and we are deep, boys. Installing the conduit and running wire was a big endeavor, underestimated, and then how many hours it would take my single electrician to wire everything up and we picked up the slack, especially the day BMA came over and redid some of the Ethernet. But it's been a huge project, from submitting my load letter to getting my electric utility out here, getting the service installed, picking up the CT box to kind of build all of this off of, which was another thing that I thought that they would supply. I needed to go acquire. Just this year, I probably have like 200 labor hours with my electrician out here. We also redid and expanded some things in HQ over there, and he has done work outside of just the electrical aspect, but that cost definitely adds up. Some people joke, say like, Vosk, why aren't you just a master electrician yet? I mean, you're asking the right questions. However, I'm time negative every day. I feel like most days I fall behind because I'm building the mining farm, trying to be a good husband. I'm preparing to be a new human dad. I strive to remain top dog as the #1 Doge dad in the world ever in history. And yeah, then we also make videos, upload them on the tube, on top of just everything else. I try to hit the track a little bit and just not go freaking crazy. I'm always doing stuff, very busy. And yeah, that's fine. That's this junction box got a little funky. Change some connections and put them in that flower pot, which is the in-ground conduit box. There's another in-ground conduit box. It's under this area that needs to be kind of patched up a little bit better. But made the splices and got it buried, and things are good to go on that front. But yeah, it was a huge time sink, from the planning, the designing, running the contractors, getting everything scheduled. It's been a huge burden, because even if you don't do it yourself, you meet with people out here, it's like, okay, yeah, like this wire is over there, and then this wire needs to go over here, and then we need to get some conduit there to run over there, and then we've got to get the Ethernet through there. But let's not forget that we also still haven't ran the Ethernet and the conduit that's over there. It needs to go back to that building. And okay, yeah, looks like we need to get some kind of disconnect with a fuse on there if we're going to be basically pulling 400 amps 2 different ways. That's the only right way, the safe way to do this. Okay, well, let me figure that out. Okay, looks like this works. Okay, I think this fuse will work. I guess I'll order that fuse and see if it works. And oh, let me not forget, I need to get something to block that airflow, because the air is spitting that way, which doesn't really match up with our original idea and design on that plan. And oh, looks like this broke, and this went down, and we got to change this, and this part was delayed. Said Ethernet on the to-do list here. The interior electric panel in the green VoskCoin mining shed, and now it's completely full. I utilized the absolute last outlets I had in here, and to be honest, that's fine. I have so much power running around everywhere that I can very well exceed the 200 amps capability. I've been trying to get my Ice River A0 to work. It's broken. Again, this is my second one, and it's not working right. Again, it's pretty annoying. While I mess with this, maybe it's overheating. I've been flipping all my mini Bitcoin miners, like my BitAxes and Nerd QX++. This thing is a freaking tank behemoth. It's seeing 5 terahash on a device the size of your hand. It's pretty freaking cool. But I've been flipping them over. I've already moved some in my initial testing. I've been flipping most of them, if not all of them, over from my CK pool to my own self-hosted version of public pool. You can see it's getting serious. It's funny when you host your own node, and when it comes to online devices, you're just simply all of them. 19 BitAxes? What are you, freaking maniac? I always pop out of the sheds like all slow and creepy because you wouldn't believe how often I can just walk right up on deer and other animals because they don't hear me over the white noise of the mining farm. So I'll just walk out of the shed and I'll turn to my left, and 5 feet from me will be deer, and sometimes little Bambi. Alexa named the latest baby we saw Pip, so that's a little pipsqueak. But it's so cool seeing all the wildlife out here. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm a child of the forest, just like my man Link. But here's the video, like right after. It was probably like literally just born. We happened to stumble across it. in our backyard. And this is a video from today, probably a week later. And you can see that it's bigger, it's faster, and just as cute. So, would I do this again? Fuck yeah, I would. Yeah. I mean, there's a learning curve to everything, and I hope, if nothing else, my legacy out here is just open sourcing my mining farm. What did I do? How did I do it? Why did I do it? And did it work? And, you know, would I do it a different way in retrospect? You know, it's just, it sounds corny, but like, life's a journey, and I'm out here just doing my thing, having fun, chasing the dream. I don't regret any of this. And a lot of things I would do differently in retrospect, of course. But I'd do it again, that's for sure. I don't regret mining. Sometimes I get comments on YouTube and shit talk, and they're like, you should just bought the coin. Yeah, well here's the deal, dude. If I just bought the coin, I wouldn't have stuck with this. I wouldn't have been so enthralled with the whole prospect of this. I wouldn't have learned so many skills. I mean, from everything. I'm cutting holes in buildings. I understand electricity, thermodynamics, all right? Building computers, hard drives, CPUs, FPGAs, soldering, thermal paste, and all kinds of other things. In addition just to what YouTubing has afforded me as a content creator and video editing, graphic design, and everything else that comes along with running your own mining farm business, running your own YouTube business. Honestly, I'm truly thankful for the opportunity, and all you maniacs that tune in and subscribe, especially, and watch our content and keep this crazy train going. I appreciate you, and I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. And if nothing else, my grandkids and great grandkids especially, they'll come out here to the mining farm and be like, hey, Cramps was f***ing crazy, man. He was he was like little Albert Einstein, was he, huh? A little crazy dude, just building stuff, doing things, having fun, chasing the dream. And man, he sure didn't give a f*** about the code. He just, if it works, it's good. I got a little off topic, I got a little excited. The bottom line is, if I didn't get into mining and I only got into crypto, I would have bought my coin, I would have sold it, and maybe that would have been it. And I wouldn't have been just entrenched in this shit to the point that I don't get to leave even if I want to. And there are many days where it's very good if you are essentially locked in the room and you don't have an out. You don't get to say, stop the pain, just sell the coin. There's no way out for you, Timmy. This is a life. We are miners. We dig. We fight. I ask not for a lighter burden, but for broader shoulders. And to go see my cutie pup, 10 seconds of tails. I'll see you in the next video. See ya. Peace.